Welcome back. We're chatting with Sandy over here.
Chatting with Sandy.
It's
But they're done with me.
Can we just call it the Sandy Show from now on?
Sure, you can do that. I want like a jazzy intro and all that sort of stuff.
Change the music.
I'll do like Mary
change the
Tyler
set.
Moore. I'll flip a hat. I'll wear one of my hats. You can,
Sure, and we'll
film me
stop
around
motion it,
town, and
yeah.
I'll throw around and like, yeah, that'll work.
What function could I play? Should I
Ed
run a
Asner.
camera? The bald guy.
The bald guy.
Yeah,
I
the
didn't think
short
about
bald
that.
guy.
No, you could be Ted Baxter. Woo, remember Ted?
Ted Baxter. Oh yeah, just like you. Yeah.
You could be Ted Baxter. I like that. Well, I think Captain Eddie would like to talk.
He could be part of the show too. Captain Eddie.
Who would you?
Sounds like a.
Sounds like he'd been unzipping that shirt again, throwing it off with a big CE on his chest. Captain Eddie, defender of, put her out of fires everywhere.
Yeah, there we go.
Because that's what and I have a question. I'm just going to jump in like I always do.
Okay.
These new LED lights that are so popular at Walmart, are those safer? Because that's like the hot new Christmas light. They're bigger and they're LED.
LED lights
the heat
are
off.
safer. They don't put the heat off like the old style incandescent lights do. They
Okay,
get
well I
really
wonder
hot.
because they're all over the place and they're advertising LED and they're big, like the old-fashioned big ones that we all used
and
to.
they don't get near as hot as the old ones do.
The
because
old
they
ones
were,
got really hot.
Some of those were 40 and 50 watt bulbs.
Yeah, they were just
yeah.
real honest to goodness light bulbs, weren't they? Yeah, I remember those because you couldn't touch them after they'd been turned on.
No, not after they've been on for a while. And if you drag out your old Christmas lights, you need to make sure you look at them, check them, make sure the wires are not frayed.
Well, they've been
or
sitting
cracked.
up for a year.
They've been
Who
sitting
knows,
up for a long
mouse
time.
could have been chewing on the
Right.
insulation.
And if you buy stuff, make sure it's UL listed.
Okay.
I can't go into brands, but
Yeah.
it needs to be tested. Make sure somebody's tested, certified it, and make sure it's a good quality product.
Well, you know what we do though? We just plug them in as long as all of the lights or most of the lights come on. We string them on the tree.
Oh, sure.
But you want us to go across the individual wires and kind of feel your way down, and look at it.
Yes. Make sure you look at them.
Don't-
just stretch them out.
Yeah.
The best
But don't
way,
do it when it's plugged in.
And I learned this on TV.
Okay.
Believe it or not, people say you can't learn anything on TV, but I did. The best way to store your Christmas lights is roll them up in a ball, like a ball of yarn.
Really? Mm-hmm. I wrapped mine around. I took like a piece of cardboard and cut it
No,
kind of like a spool.
If you believe it or not, if you'll start them up in a little ball and just start rolling them up, man, they just come undone real easy at the next year.
Probably
Wow.
roll them out.
I watched that on TV. A professional Christmas light person showed that on TV one day. There's people that you hire to decorate your home, and
Oh yeah, I've seen signs up that we hang Christmas lights and a number you can call.
and that's
But
where I
it's-
got that.
Yeah,
little
it's a lot of
tidbit
work.
It is.
It
is
is a lot of
But it's
work.
also a lot of fun. And while we're on that, when you do your outside decorations, make sure that your lights are listed for outside use. Make sure your extension cords are made for outside use. Make sure you use power strips if you're going to use with a breaker in them. If you're going to make sure they're
How
outside.
many can you plug into one plug-in?
I don't recommend over 2.
Over 2.
But if you've got a power strip, if it'll hold 4, that's okay. As long
But
as
what
you don't
about plugging the lights in on? How does that affect it? I've got one plug-in in the wall, but then I've plugged in 4 strands because they
That's
they
okay.
connect.
I mean,
that's
I've-
okay.
They don't pull enough to
They
LEDs.
don't pull enough
yeah.
to.
Okay, that's not a big
And I've looked, and there's not really a black and white answer on how many you can plug in.
before
on.
it gets crazy.
It really,
Before it gets
really
crazy.
would mean how many other things are on that
On
one
that same
circuit.
right, on that same circuit.
you gotta-
so
if
it
you had
would
a-
depend.
See, I don't know. I don't understand that. I just know the plug-in in the
Just
wall.
don't buy a little white cord that you buy for 99 cents
Uh-huh.
at the whatever store and plug a whole bunch of stuff in it, because in the fire service, those little 94 or 99-cent cords we call house burners.
Really?
I hate and despise those plugs. Those,
So
little
those
cords.
just little flimsy.
They're okay for Christmas lights, for temporary, but don't. I have walked into houses and seen they'll have a half a dozen things in a refrigerator plugged into one of those.
And a refrigerator.
Yeah,
And a microwave and everything
it just
else,
looks
yeah.
like a big wad of
Yeah.
hair coming out of the wall where that's
my
all
gosh.
plugged in,
Yeah.
and it's you believe it or not, a lot of house fires are started
But
from electrical.
power strips are safe.
As long as you've got a breaker, a circuit breaker in the power strip,
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you that they won't malfunction
Mm-hmm.
because everything mechanical or electrical can, but they cut the risk down a lot.
Is there a limit to how many lights you should put on a tree? I mean, people get really light happy. So it's not the number of lights that are going to overheat the tree.
No.
It's just the lights itself.
Well, the lights we have today, the small
That-
lights, they don't get near as
They're not
hot
gonna
as
do
the
anything,
ones.
are
Now,
they?
the old ones, yeah, they used to get pretty hot, and I'd be very careful with them. They are, nostalgia has brought back a lot of the older things, the chrome table legs and the Formica tabletops and the big Christmas bulbs, all that's coming back. So, but the LED stuff is a lot safer now than that stuff was.
Yeah.
And if people want to use, and live Christmas trees are coming back.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I really like a live Christmas tree, so you need to make sure if you put a live Christmas tree up, water it religiously.
Every day?
Yes.
Did you just put it in a bucket of water?
Well,
Or the
they
end
make
of
a
it, or
stand with, used to when I was a boy, which was
just
eons
a couple
ago.
years
Yeah.
ago?
Yeah, just a day or two ago. They had the deal you clamped on the tree, and then it had a big bowl under it,
Okay.
and you put the water
Just
in
make
it.
sure there's
You
water.
can use a bucket.
How long can you put them up though? Because I saw a sign the other day at a local business, and it said live trees or fresh trees coming soon.
Right. I wouldn't. I don't know that I've ever actually read a date of how long, like a week or 2 weeks. What they say is if you start touching your tree and the needles start falling off, it's probably time to replace it or get rid of it, because at that point it's already
dry.
started drying out and
Yeah.
dying.
But who's going to take down a tree on December 21st and put another one
Yeah.
up? That's the
So
problem. So
I would recommend not over 2 weeks probably. I mean,
if you're going to do a live tree,
a
wait
lot of
till
people
later.
are going to put their trees up now. I've seen Christmas trees already up, bless their hearts. And traditionally, Thanksgiving Day or after the day after
Yeah, the
Thanksgiving
weekend after kind of is when everybody
is
drags all
when
that
everybody
stuff
puts
out.
it up. But the main thing is just common sense. You know, your best fire safety comes right out just from common sense. Just
And
think about it.
Don't cover the cords up with rugs. People do that all the time. They plug a cord in the house. We've done this before,
Yeah.
and strung it out, and then the door kind of doesn't quite close around it, which of course wears and then you cover it up with rugs. It's been a long time, but I've seen that
Yeah,
happen.
and I'm gonna, don't put cords under rugs. Don't run wires under rugs. Don't walk on cords because that wears them out from the outside. And frays the wires, and then you plug them up, and then they don't work right, or they short out and melt down. Just common sense. Just if it doesn't look right, call somebody. Call your local fire department and ask them to come out and look at something for you if you need to, and they'll tell you which direction to go if you don't think it's safe. Smoke detectors this time of year, you need to change your batteries. It's a good time to do it is in the spring when you move your clocks forward, and then in fall when you move them back. Just change your batteries twice a year.
What about fireplaces?
Fireplaces need to be clean and inspected by somebody that does that for a living, that are certified chimney sweeps.
Do you do that every year?
I would recommend it highly every year,
Every
especially yes, especially with the green wood, wet wood. Of course, it hasn't rained that much here lately,
Yeah.
but the stoves burn at a slower rate now, so your creosote builds up more, and creosote is what causes your flue fires and stuff. And
But someone who has when I lived here in Mountain Home, I had a wood fireplace. I burned a fire maybe 6 times a year, though. I mean, I just kind of when I was home and in the mood and I didn't use for heat at all. It was just
you
simple.
could probably get by with not doing it, but every other year.
At least every other year.
Yeah,
have
I would
someone come
recommend
in.
highly at least every other year. But if you use it for heat at all, you need to do it every year.
Every year.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of the chimney sweeps around here, don't they do an inspection before they do any work? I
yes,
think
sir.
they may charge
Yeah.
a nominal fee, so.
Yeah, they'll inspect it. They'll make sure it's not cracked. You don't have any problems with it, any creosote buildup. Make sure it's safe before you start using it. And I highly recommend that, because you don't want to go into the season. When I was a child, or we were all kids, the stoves burned at such a hot rate, the creosote was not that big
Yeah.
a deal. I mean, you'd go outside and the little potbelly stove would be bouncing across the living room floor, and there'd be flames coming out the chimney.
Yeah.
How we kept from burning houses down back then, I can't answer that.
I remember remember those little metally pad kind of things, and sometimes you put it back behind where the
Right.
stove would come
Yeah.
out. What about space heaters and stuff? Because it's
Space
getting cold.
heaters have came a long way in safety over the years, from the milk barn heaters that they used to have, the gray ones with the little switch on
Yeah.
them. Now they have a tip over switch on some of them. Some of them have an overheat switch. Just don't put them by anything that's flammable, draperies.
People put them too close to their beds.
When you come out of the bathroom, don't do like my family does and chunk towels down on top of them and forget to turn them off. Even if they've got the safety switches on them, make sure sometimes those fail. So just be very cautious with space heaters. They're another thing that I'm not a real fan of.
Yeah. Well,
And-
this time of year, people don't want to heat their whole house up, so it's going to crank back up to
Right.
about 65 in the daytime. So a lot of people, that's all they're using right now. is a
And they've
space
came
heater.
a long way with that infrared new style heat. The wooden cabinet ones, I don't want
Right,
to go
right,
into
right.
brands or anything, but they've came a long way with that. They're supposed to be very efficient and very safe. They don't really get hot at all.
But they put out heat? I don't even guess I know what you're talking about.
I don't remember the
Those
name.
ones that look like little fake fireplaces or something?
No, they look like a little wooden cabinet, like an end table is what they look like, and they actually use heat lamps. Some of them use, it's called infrared crystals heat, I think. they've came a long way with those. They've also came a long way with gas heat as well. You know, they've got ventless fireplace logs now. They've got, but anything that you've got like that, just make sure you have your heating system checked by somebody. Gas heat, you need to make sure you have a carbon monoxide detector in your house, even if you've just got a gas hot water heater. Carbon monoxide is an invisible silent killer. It makes you feel like you've got the flu, other symptoms. You just need to make sure you've got a CO detector. And you need to check those and at least change the batteries in those I recommend twice a year, and they also have a filter. Some of them have a filter pack in them, and you need to replace it about it every so often. And what am I forgetting? Help me.
Electric blankets.
Oh yeah, electric
electric
blankets.
blankets,
We talked about those last year.
You don't like them at all?
No, I don't like them at all.
Because people roll them up.
Well, the problem with electric, and they've came a long way with those, but
Yeah.
you know, back when I was a boy, you know, they just barely had electric blankets, but they, you know, they had like number double-aught welding cable inside them for heating elements, and it was like, you know, but what happens is you fold them up over the years, and you keep folding them up, and you put them in the drawer for the summer, and then you break them back out. Well, it breaks down the fibers and the electric wires and stuff. I personally just have a phobia about being plugged into the wall with something.
Laying on top of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just
Yeah.
a personal
Electricity
issue.
whizzing around you as you sleep, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
that's just, but heating pads are also another thing you need to make sure you check, and just, if they're very old, you probably need to think about
Well, they
replacing
lose their
them.
resistance after a while. I don't think they heat as well. And
They
because
don't.
of probably the bending and everything, they lose
Right.
the resistance.
And,
yeah.
but smoke detectors by far are probably the best thing you can have in your house, and if you don't have any, just give us a call at the Mountain Home Fire Department, no matter where you live, and I'll make sure that you get one for no cost.
Does
if
the
you can't
county
afford it.
volunteer fire departments, do they offer anything like that?
Most of them do, and like I
Okay.
said again, if you
Just
don't
need to
have
get
any
with your
idea,
district.
just give us a call at the Mountain Home Fire Department, and
Okay.
I will definitely make sure that you get a smoke detector. I don't care where you live, because
You
I
don't
think they're
want
that
you don't want to have to
important.
go to their house at 3 in the morning and
No, I sure don't.
You know,
And you need to
be
have,
putting a fire out.
if you've got a 3-bedroom house, you need to have at least 4 or 5 in the house.
Really? Because most people just at home, we have one downstairs and one upstairs, I
You
guess.
need to have one in every bedroom.
And one in every bedroom. Well, we don't. So I'll have
And like most, I don't recommend putting one in the kitchen, because actually you end up setting them off, and you think they're a cooking timer, and you end up taking the batteries out of them. So,
yeah, people put them in the kitchen all the time thinking that's where a fire's going to start.
Right.
Because I see a
And-
lot of people having them in the kitchen.
heat detectors are okay in the kitchen if you have a hardwired system
Yeah.
with the full-blown alarm, but I recommend putting them back away from the kitchen somewhere. If you've got a garage, I would recommend putting one, if it's a hardwired system, you know, where one will go off, they'll all go off. I would definitely want one in the garage, because you can have a car fire, and that's kind of a scary thing when you get to thinking about your car sitting
Sure.
next to your house.
Yeah.
And so,
Any more questions, I guess they can call you down.
you
at the-
bet. They can give us a
fire
call at
station.
the Mountain Home Fire Department at 870-425-2611 and ask for myself, or anybody there will be glad to help them.
I think that's what you guys do more than anything, is educate.
We'd love
Try
to
to
educate.
get the word out.
I put a little quick blurb out there for my new mascot that I have. His name is Sparky, and he will come to schools and sing and dance.
Yeah.
He's got his own MP3 player. He's an animated talking dog, and he's really awesome. He cost us about $5,300.
And he runs on
You
batteries
should
too.
have brought him here today to demonstrate.
And actually,
Sparky would have been a hit.
I can bring Sparky.
Sparky
but,
will have to come
He can
visit
sing
us
and
and
dance, and he puts on quite a show. He's seen about 3,000 kids this year.
Cool.
And that money was all donated by local businesses right
That's
here in
great.
Mountain Home,
Wonderful.
Arkansas.
That's the great way to
And,
start the messages when they're very young.
Yeah.
It is.
Teach
Stay
them
with
what
them.
to do if a fire comes.
I'll tell this quick. I don't know how much time we have left.
We're out of time, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, I want to tell one quick story. I'm sorry. At one point, we had some kids that got hurt in Baxter County, and I was really kind of depressed, and I was down thinking that I needed to revamp my public education for fire safety, and I was thinking that I wasn't reaching the kids I needed to, and finally we had a little boy in a Boy Scout event catch his shirt on fire accidentally. He hit the ground, he stopped, dropped, and rolled. And I asked him, I said, why did you do that? And he said, because that's what the big fat fireman told me to do when I was at school. And he said, that's what I remembered. And I said, that works for me. And I was very thankful. So that reaffirmed my commitment to public education. It's very important.
Sure is.
Oh, yeah.
Sure is.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
thank
for
you
being
for
here.
coming.
Good.
Very
We'll
informative.
we'll have you come back again. All right, up next we have Janette Larson and also Sean Hafer with the Ozark Holiday Craft Show. They'll be here. Stay with us.